back, Limitless Souls. Today, we're addressing something that almost nobody talks about honestly. If you are awakened, if you are conscious, if you understand ego, why do you still get triggered? Why do you still feel insecure sometimes? Why do certain people still activate something in you? And why do you still react in ways you thought you had outgrown? And maybe you're asking yourself, is something wrong with you? Or is something wrong with how we understand awakening? Let's go deep. One of the biggest misunderstandings about awakening is this idea that it removes your humanity. Somewhere along the way, spirituality became associated with emotional neutrality. Calm all the time, peaceful all the time, unshakable all the time. But that's not awakening. That is suppression, only dressed as transcendence. Awakening does not remove your nervous system. It does not delete your childhood conditioning. It does not erase your attachment wounds. It does not uninstall your ego. What it does is expose them. And exposure feels really uncomfortable, right? Because before awakening, when you were triggered, you were unconscious inside the reaction. Now, you're conscious inside the reaction. And that feels worse. Because now, you see it happening. Now, you're seeing yourself getting irritated, insecurity rising. You see the jealousy or the defensiveness. And you may think, wow, I thought I was beyond this. But awareness doesn't mean elimination. It means illumination. And illumination is never comfortable. Now let's define trigger properly. A trigger is not the person. It's not the comment. It's not the situation. A trigger is unresolved emotional charge stored in your nervous system that gets activated by a present moment stimulus. That's it. When someone criticizes you and you feel a surge of defensiveness, what's actually happening? Your nervous system is detecting a familiar threat pattern. Maybe it also resembles a parent who judged you, a teacher who embarrassed you, a moment where you felt so small. Because the body remembers even if your mind has moved on. Awakening makes you aware of the activation, but it doesn't mean the activation won't happen. There is where people get so confused. Because they think, if I am conscious, I shouldn't feel this. No. Consciousness does not override biology. Your amygdala doesn't care that you meditate. Your nervous system doesn't disappear because you understand non-duality. Your body is wired for survival first. And survival patterns are deeply ingrained. When you get triggered, what is actually being threatened? Your safety? Or your identity? Because most triggers are not about survival. They're about identity preservation. Someone questions your intelligence. Of course you feel defensive. Why? Because you've built an identity around being capable. When someone ignores you, you feel hurt. Why? Because you've built an identity around being valued. When someone succeeds in an area you secretly want, you feel envy. Why? Because it confronts your self-concept. Triggers reveal where your identity is rigid. Awakening begins when you stop asking, "Why am I triggered?" and you start asking, "What part of me feels threatened right now?" And no, it's not the evil side of you, but the parts of yourself you've hidden, denied, or rejected. The shadow can be subtle. It can be a need for control, a fear of failure, a fear of judgment, or a need to always be liked. And when someone mirrors your shadow, the nervous system screams danger, threat, exposure. Awakening teaches you not to run, not to blame, not to suppress. Instead, see it, observe it, and integrate it. Because integration does not happen once. It is iterative, continuous, patient, and slow. And sometimes, spiritual growth can make triggers worse. How? Through spiritual bypassing. When you are using meditation to ignore discomfort. When you're using light speak to suppress feelings. When you're using awareness to justify avoidance. You think you're above it, but your nervous system is screaming underneath. True awakening is embodied presence. It is feeling the trigger fully while staying conscious. It is witnessing your emotional charge without running away or hiding behind spirituality. So how do you work with triggers in real time? Pause. Notice the body reaction, the tightness, heat, the tension. Label. Say to yourself, this is fear, insecurity. This is ego, this is threat, whatever. Just name it. Breathe. Slow the nervous system. Inhale, exhale. Observe. Without judgment, watch the story your mind creates. And respond. Don't react. Action aligned with awareness, not an automatic defense. If you do this consistently, even small triggers, even subtle reaction, it rewires not just your mind, but your nervous system. And this is spiritual work made practical. Triggers are mirrors of the self you think you are. Identity attached to being smart, attached to being liked, attached to being competent, attached to being safe. And every trigger asks, what part of your identity are you holding on to too tightly? Because awakening dismantles identity layer by layer. You may feel grief, loss, discomfort, because yes, part of you is dying, and that is necessary for expansion. The nervous system needs care. Walk, touch earth, movement, that is ground. Conscious breath cycles, enough sleep, recovery from overstimulation, nutrition, subtle but affects energy and reactivity. The triggers aren't wrong or bad. They're just signals of nervous system tension. Awakening plus embodiment is equals to learning to flow with the signals instead of reacting automatically. So when you feel triggered, do not blame yourself. Do not hide behind, "I should be beyond this." Don't spiritual bypass. Instead, you observe, name it, integrate, and respond. Our triggers are our teachers. They are mirrors and are part of the awakening process itself, entity. Because awakening isn't about erasing humanity, it's about revealing it. It's about presence, authenticity. It's about becoming intimate with yourself fully, including what you don't like. Let's reflect. Ask yourself, why am I triggered by today? What part of me feels threatened? What old pattern is showing up? How can I respond with awareness rather than reaction? Take the time to sit with it. Journal. Breathe. Move the energy through your body. And always remember, you are awake. You are conscious. You are human. Triggers don't mean failure. They mean you're doing the work. And they are not a sign that you are weak. They are proof that you're seeing yourself clearly. And that is the most courageous thing you can do. Thank you so much for listening, Limitless Soul. Until next time.